The president of the African Development Bank, ADB, M.Donald KABERUKA, completed a two-day visit to Washington, D.C. in late May to attend a meeting organized as part of the heads of the richest states of the world, the G8. U.S. President Barack Obama invited M.Donald KABERUKA to the summit of the Group of 8 at Camp David near Washington, D.C. This is the first time that an ADB president has been invited to the residence of the President of the United States. This historic meeting testifies the increasingly important role that Africa is playing in the global economy and ADB being a leading contributor to it.
I think President Obama said it all. It is a moral imperative, an economic imperative, and a security imperative. An economic imperative for the United States, because if African farmers become prosperous, that is good for the world, good for U.S. business. If African farmers become prosperous, it's good for global security. I think he summarized it very well.
The meeting with President Barack Obama was largely devoted to the development of a new aid policy to Africa through the implementation of a strategy that should absolutely ensure food security of the continent. Among the participants at the G8, in addition to the directors of large private companies, were 4 African heads of state.
In reality, poverty, famine and instability created and causes misery, starvation and malnutrition. I try to remember that initially we were concerned about such things, but now these countries have been abandoned. These countries are related to stability, peace and security. The best governance in all areas on the continent is democratic stability because it is vital. If we speak on the private sector, then it is essential to reassure the industry that CDE is national, sub-regional, continental or international.
One of the main objectives of the new initiative is to encourage the private sector to invest more in agriculture in the continent. President Obama has announced that more than $3 billion has already been committed in private sector investment. African governments and the G8 have also committed funds to stimulate growth. The White House welcomed the support of the African Development Bank and other development agencies in the continent. The White House welcomed the support of the African Development Bank and other development agencies in the continent.
First of all, I think that we're a major player. So we have some knowledge, we have experience, but above all, we have a stake. This is Africa, we're Africa's bank, and so whatever knowledge you have gathered over years, we're keen to share it with the leaders and articulate what we'll do and what we'd like them to do to ensure that this partnership is a success. I think the speech by President Obama this morning was truly an incredible moment. I've very rarely heard the head of state make such a passionate commitment to an issue like he did today for Africa and food security.
On the eve of the G8 meeting, a special session in Washington was devoted to agriculture policy in Africa at a symposium that brought together hundreds of people and organizations to discuss the way forward. A new initiative called the New Alliance for Food Security and Nutrition saw the day. The initiative was supported at the highest level as symposium speakers included President Obama, Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, the leaders of Benin, Ethiopia, Ghana, Tanzania, and the President of ADB.
I believe that the challenge now is for African leaders to grab the opportunity to really achieve the goal of food security.
The mission of the African Development Bank is to help reduce poverty, improving living conditions for Africans and mobilizing resources for economic and social development on the continent. The meeting in Washington should give ADB a major boost to get there. Future projects and current priorities will also be discussed at the annual meetings of the bank group in Arusha, Tanzania from May 28th until June 1st, 2012.